Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, TradersPro. Market conditions, bullish in a bull market. Had a little bit of a pause yesterday, gapped lower, and then rallied back up intraday. We'll take a look at that. Today we're seeing a little bit of a pause still in these areas, but we're seeing constructive bullishness in momentum, as I talked about yesterday. We're not seeing on the short-term indicators. Oftentimes at market tops, we're going to see, some of these. When we get to these patterns and you're starting to see these red and green towards the upper end of that range, before you get a significant top, typically we'll see momentum top out up in these upper levels. We're just not seeing that quite yet. So there's definitely some upside or some potential upside for this market still at these areas. These months typically during July, you get a little bit of a pause, some quietness just because of the summer months. So this is not abnormal right here, especially after a nice run up. We've seen momentum move higher, pull back in just a little bit, and also breadth is now gaining some momentum. Sentiment can be stuck up here in this upper range for some time, so it's also adding to the bullishness of this overall pattern. In the short term, though, we are towards the upper end of the range. Let me go to a couple other charts here. We'll look at the buy-sell ratio, still constructively bullish at this point, creating that bullish bias. It's just a quick way to be able to glance and say which side is the bias currently. And it hasn't been intense. We've seen this really tight range for the last couple of months. This has been quite abnormal because typically we see these ranges up in just a lot wider. So we're seeing still some uncertainty, some stocks that are stuck in that hold range, and this is corresponding certainly to what the overall market has been looking like over the last couple of months, with just not a lot of intensity happening. So that's kind of where we're at in the marketplace currently. If we take a look at the new buy list, and there's an interesting little oil stock right here at the beginning. Actually, that's the Muscle Minis scan. But let me pull this up and refresh it, and we'll see. Muscle stocks, new buys. Oh, it is there. Okay, good. It's an interesting little pattern that I want to go over. So oil is creating a support area right here at these levels. If we take a look at USO, I'll come back to this chart. USO is just continuing to find some support right here. And if we go, that's the 1 year chart. It's been really volatile. If we look at the 2-year chart, oil had that big run up a couple of years ago. It's retraced all the way back, and it's just been sitting at this level now, this bottom level, for weeks and weeks, and starting to find some support and potential breakout for some upside. So you're seeing oil stabilizing at support levels and wanting to work its way higher. So we're getting some stocks that are also reading that and anticipating that, or even already having a move on that. And this is one of them, NGL, where you've got this nice uptrend. And look at this pattern. It's a pretty smooth pattern, even though it's got some pretty high volatility right here. But the new buy back in May, continuation, but we're looking at a possible breakout pattern from here to here. And that's an overall just a bullish looking chart pattern on this stock. Keep an eye on that one this week. NGL, interesting pattern. TMP, we're seeing transportation shipping stocks come back to life again, and that could be an indication of a little bit more, when money's moving back over into these shipping and oil stocks. At least in the last couple of years, there's been a little bit of a pause in the overall market as a whole. So we'll see if we see some rotation back into these sectors. ASC, an interesting pattern with that deep retracement, and again, now we've got this overall bullish profile. After a deep retracement, some bottoming, starting to find some confirmation, the possible breakout of just this shorter term pattern right here. So we're now seeing, these shipping stocks showing up in the scan today, seeing at least one oil stock. There may be others that are in there. Let's take a look through some of these, see if we've got any other. Some biotech in here, biomed, TRDA, good solid confirmation bar. Overall long-term downtrend. We may see some of these stocks that are getting some some of these stocks that have not been leaders start to catch up. Here's a nice looking pattern, retracement, counter trend. If you've listened to these long enough, you know that I really like this pattern. It's a pretty strong pattern when you've got a stock that's bottomed out, rallied, broken through a resistance area, and then retests that area. It comes back, finds some support, and then you get a confirmation bar. This is not a really confirming confirmation bar, but nonetheless, it is one. I say that because there's some indecision wicks, some indecision topping tail bar and bottoming tail bar in that overall pattern right there, which means there is some indecision. You can see that in these other bars as well over the last few days. Let's take a look at a couple others here. See if there's any other themes that are developing. Medical, biotech. Seeing those, keep an eye on those. They've been continuing to work, and they probably will continue to work because there are so many of them and so many different ideas. Aerospace defense, interesting pattern here. AJRD. Let's go out to 1 year. See some interesting pattern, some topping pattern. Not entirely sure. That doesn't look normal. Maybe a buyout or something happened there. It could just be a tight compression chart. One of the other things to look at when you're going through these lists, if you're looking for a little bit different pattern, you can go to some of these other scans, like Muscle Minis is a nice one. That's what I mentioned here. So this is a $4 stock. So you're getting these smaller, or I should say lower price stocks to be able to look at and look through. Less than $5 NIU. Nice pattern here as well. You can see that trend starting to shift. You see that overall pattern here starting to turn, starting to move back up this direction. So now you're getting more red and yellow on this side. Now you're getting more green and yellow on this side. That trend is starting to shift. And at a lower price stock, sometimes you really get, especially if the market stays strong and we're getting some risk on trades, you'll see money moving into some of these lower price stocks. BLND, again, this is the Muscle Mini scan, which is here. You can go down to the bottom, scroll down to the bottom, and see what the overall criteria is. Stocks that are between $1 and $5. They've had a rating change from hold to buy in the past day, and average volume on these stocks is moving higher as well. So it's a nice scan if you're looking for these stocks down in the lower $2, $3, $4, $5 range. It doesn't all, it's going to pull in everything. So you're going to get some weak stocks in there, but you might get a few that are in there that are moving strongly, like NGL today. That'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day today.